Have you noticed something lately? It seems like every time you turn on your phone there's another video, another public spectacle. We see people losing their minds over the smallest things. A coffee order, a parking spot, a perceived slight in a grocery store. We've given this behavior a name. Karens, Kens, folks who believe the world revolves around them. They think the rules don't apply to them. They demand to speak to the manager, not to solve a problem, but to assert their dominance. It's a meltdown epidemic being broadcast for the whole world to see. Now let's be real clear about this. This isn't just about a bad day. We all have those. This is a pattern of entitled, aggressive, often discriminatory behavior, a fundamental breakdown in social contracts, the unspoken rules we agree to follow to live together. When those rules are broken so spectacularly, people pull out their phones. They're documenting a social illness, a public tantrum that deserves calling out. We call it instant karma. The story I'm about to tell has a heaping dose of it. Let's break it down. Lessons for everyone. Picture this. It's a typical Tuesday afternoon at a busy downtown supermarket. The kind of place where everyone is in a rush. People are grabbing lunch on their break, picking up a few things for dinner, or just trying to get through their shopping list. The energy is hurried but generally polite. People navigate their carts around each other with a nod or a quick "excuse me." It's a delicate dance of public coexistence. A normal, everyday scene that you've probably been a part of 1,000 times before. Our story focuses on two individuals. First, there's a young man. Let's call him Alex. He's wearing the uniform of a well-known tech company, with his company ID badge clipped to his belt. He's on his lunch break, trying to grab a pre-made sandwich and a drink. He's on his phone, holding it up to his ear, having a quiet conversation, minding his own business. Then, she enters the picture. A woman in her late 40s, we'll call her Brenda. She's dressed impeccably with expensive-looking sunglasses perched on her head. She has only a few items. A bottle of artisanal olive oil, a fancy loaf of bread. She looks agitated. She's sighing loudly. She's tapping her foot. She's scanning the long lines with a look of utter disgust, as if the very presence of other shoppers is a personal insult. She sees Alex, who is about 5 people ahead of her, and a switch seems to flip in her mind. Brenda decides she is far too important to wait in this line. Her time is clearly more valuable than anyone else's. She begins to push her way forward, muttering under her breath about the incompetence of the cashiers and the slowness of the customers. She gets a few annoyed looks, but most people are too tired or too non-confrontational to say anything. But her target is set. She has her eyes on Alex, and the storm is about to break. Brenda reaches Alex's spot in the line. She doesn't say, "Excuse me." She doesn't ask if she can cut in front. She shoves past him and plants herself directly in front of him. Alex, startled, ends his phone call and taps her on the shoulder.
"Excuse me, ma'am. The end of the line is back there. We're all waiting."
It was a calm, reasonable request, not aggressive. This should have ended with an apology, but it didn't. Brenda spins around, face full of indignation.
"Don't you touch me. I was here. You were too busy on your little phone to notice."
People in line know she pushed, but Brenda doubles down on her story. She makes Alex the villain and herself the victim. She just wanted her gourmet bread.
"Ma'am, that's not true. Please wait your turn like everyone else."
"You people are all the same, so entitled. Get a real job."
She glances at his company ID badge. The verbal attack turns personal and ugly. She criticizes his generation, attacks his work ethic, attacks his mere presence in line. Shoppers murmur and start filming. The cashier looks overwhelmed. The store goes tense and silent. Alex stands there, taking the abuse, disbelief on his face. Brenda was not done. In fact, she was just getting warmed up. She saw the phones pointed in her direction and seemed to draw energy from the attention. "Oh, that's right, film me!" she taunted, puffing out her chest. "The world needs to see how disrespectful you are. Harassing a woman in a grocery store. I have half a mind to call the police on you for assault." The accusation of assault was absurd. Alex hadn't laid a hand on her, aside from the initial polite tap on the shoulder. The line had come to a complete standstill. Everyone was watching the drama unfold. An older gentleman behind Alex spoke up. "Ma'am, that's enough," he said in a firm voice. "We all saw what happened. You cut the line. Just apologize to the young man and go to the back." Brenda whirled on him. "You mind your own business, old man," she snapped. She was an equal opportunity offender. Anyone who challenged her reality became an immediate enemy. She was burning every social bridge around her, one person at a time. The solidarity in the line was now firmly with Alex. This is where Brenda crossed a line from which there was no coming back. She turned back to Alex, her eyes blazing with a strange, vindictive fire. She pointed directly at his ID badge. "I see where you work. I know people there. I'm going to call your boss. I'm going to get you fired for this. You will be unemployed by the end of the day for harassing me. This was no longer just a public spat. This was a direct threat to someone's livelihood over a place in a checkout line. The threat hung in the air, thick and toxic. Alex's expression changed from disbelief to genuine concern. Alex looked at Brenda, then at her own designer handbag, then back at her furious face. He took a deep breath. The moment of truth had arrived. The entire checkout area was silent, just waiting for his response. Brenda stood there with a smug, triumphant look on her face, fully believing she held all the cards. She had threatened his job, she had asserted her dominance. In her mind, she had already won. She was just waiting for him to crumble, to apologize, to beg her not to make the call. She could not have been more wrong.
With a calmness that was almost chilling, Alex looked her right in the eye. You're going to call my boss? You know people at my company?
Brenda nodded, a cruel smile playing on her lips. That's right, big people, your career is over.
Alex then delivered the line that would turn the entire situation on its head.
He pointed to the name on his own ID badge. Then he said slowly and clearly, Ma'am, my last name is on this badge.
The same last name as the company founder, my father. So please, go ahead and call him. I'm sure he'd be very interested to hear about your behavior today. The sound of jaws dropping was almost audible. Brenda's smug expression dissolved. It melted away and was replaced by a wave of shock, then horror, then pure, unadulterated panic. The color drained from her face. She looked at his ID badge, really looked at it this time. She looked at his calm, unblinking eyes. The devastating truth of the situation crashed down on her. The person whose job she had just threatened to end was not some lowly, anonymous employee. He was the son of the CEO. The power dynamic hadn't just shifted, it had been completely annihilated. This wasn't just karma, this was karma delivered by express mail, with a signature required. The silence in the supermarket was deafening. Brenda stood frozen, her face a pale canvas of regret. Artisanal olive oil in her hand. Fancy bread in her hand. The item suddenly seemed, well, ridiculous. All the righteous anger she had projected just moments before had vanished, replaced by a raw, visible fear. She had picked a fight with the one person she absolutely should not have. She had not only embarrassed herself publicly, but she had also potentially created a massive problem for herself. The tables hadn't just turned, they had been flipped over and set on fire. Alex, however, did not gloat. He did not press his advantage. He simply stood there, letting the reality of the situation sink in. He could have been cruel. He could have made a scene. He could have said, "Now, what were you saying about getting me fired?" But he didn't. He showed a level of maturity and restraint that Brenda had so sorely lacked. His calm demeanor was, in its own way, more damning than any angry retort could have been. It highlighted the vast difference in their character. He had the power, but he chose not to abuse it. That's the real power. It's the power of self-control. It's the power of emotional maturity. Slowly, clumsily, Brenda dropped her items onto a nearby candy rack. Without a word, she turned and all but fled from the store. She didn't look back. She pushed past the other shoppers, her head down, her face hidden in shame. The triumphant warrior of aisle 7 was now making a full-blown retreat. The audience of shoppers, who had been recording on their phones, slowly lowered them. A few people started to clap, a scattered, spontaneous applause for the unexpected and just outcome they had all witnessed. The tension in the air broke.
Next, please.
Well done, son. Alex simply nodded, paid for his sandwich, and left. He didn't make a big deal out of it. He didn't need to. The lesson had been delivered loud and clear. So why are stories like this so captivating? Why do videos of Karen meltdowns and their instant karma consequences get millions of views? It's more than just a guilty pleasure or a desire to watch a public train wreck. I think it taps into a deep-seated human need for justice and fairness. In our daily lives, we often see people get away with being rude, selfish, entitled. We see people cutting in line, being nasty to service workers, acting like the rules don't apply to them. And most of the time, there are no immediate consequences. These videos provide a sense of catharsis. They offer a rare and satisfying glimpse of a world where bad behavior is immediately and appropriately punished. When Brenda threatened Alex's job and it backfired so perfectly it felt like a win for everyone who's had to bite their tongue in the face of a bully. It's a morality play unfolding in real time in the most mundane of settings. The grocery store becomes a stage. Entitlement versus humility, aggression versus composure. Furthermore, the social media aspect creates a sense of communal justice. When a video like this goes viral, the comment section becomes a virtual jury. People from all over the world weigh in, condemning the bad behavior and celebrating the karmic outcome. It reinforces our shared social values. It tells us that as a community we agree this behavior is unacceptable. It's a digital version of the village stocks where public shaming can deter copycats. Of course, there's a danger here. We have to be careful that this doesn't devolve into mob justice or cyberbullying. The goal should be to correct behavior, not to permanently destroy a person. But the popularity of these moments sends a powerful message. In an age where everyone has a camera in their pocket, your actions are never truly private. The court of public opinion is always in session. That should be a sobering thought for anyone who thinks they can treat others poorly without repercussions. It's a powerful incentive to think before you act. Let's cut through all the drama and get to the core of the issue. What is the real lesson here? It's simple. It's about respect. That's it. It's the fundamental currency of a functioning society. The problem with people like Brenda is that they operate from a place of profound disrespect. They see others not as fellow human beings with their own lives, feelings, and schedules, but as obstacles. They see service workers as servants. They see fellow customers as annoyances to be bypassed. This worldview is not only arrogant, it's broken. Respect isn't something you earn, it's something you give as a baseline. It's the default setting. You treat the CEO with the same basic courtesy you treat the janitor. You treat the person in the expensive suit with the same patience you treat the person in a work uniform. Why? Because you're not interacting with their job title or their bank account. You're interacting with a person. When you lose sight of that, you've lost your way. Brenda didn't see Alex as a person. She saw him as a low-level employee she could intimidate. That was her critical error. Think about the consequences of a world without this basic respect. It would be chaos. It would be a constant battle of wills. The loudest, most aggressive, and most shameless people always win. Is that the kind of world you want to live in? Do you want to go to the grocery store prepared for a verbal brawl? Of course not. We want to live in a world where we can count on a certain level of civility and decency from our fellow citizens. That world doesn't happen by accident. We have to build it, every single day, with every single interaction. Brenda's story is a cautionary tale. She operated as if she were above the rules of common decency, and it led to her complete and utter humiliation. She learned a hard lesson that day. Your behavior has a boomerang effect. The energy you put out into the world, positive or negative, has a way of coming back to you. Respect isn't just a nice idea, it's a practical necessity for social survival. At the end of the day, this all comes down to some old-fashioned common sense. Life is hard enough without us making it harder for each other. That person you're about to yell at in traffic, they might be on their way to a hospital. That cashier you think is too slow, they might be working their second job to support their family and are completely exhausted. You have no idea what is going on in another person's life. To assume the worst and react with anger is a choice. It's a bad choice, it's a lazy choice, it takes zero effort to be nasty. The better choice, the stronger choice, is to lead with a little bit of grace. It's to choose kindness. Kindness doesn't mean you have to be a doormat. Alex was kind, but he was also firm. He stood up for what was right without resorting to insults or aggression. He demonstrated that you can be strong and decent at the same time. His character was revealed not by the power he had, but by how he chose not to use it. That's the real power. It's the power of self-control. It's the power of emotional maturity. We need to stop looking for reasons to be offended. Start looking for reasons to connect. We are all in this together. This isn't some dress rehearsal. This is your life. Do you want to spend it being angry, agitated, constantly fighting battles that don't matter? Or do you want to spend it building bridges, showing compassion, contributing to a more harmonious society? The choice is yours in every interaction you have. You can be a Brenda, who tears things down, or you can be an Alex, who stands for basic decency. So, the next time you feel that frustration bubbling up in a checkout line or in traffic, I want you to stop, take a breath, and ask yourself one simple question. Is this really worth it? 99% of the time the answer is no. Let it go. Choose peace over conflict. Choose understanding over anger. Choose kindness over cruelty. It will not only make the world a better place for everyone else, but it will also make it a much better, calmer, and more fulfilling place for you.